Hello everyone and welcome back to Brink of Speed. My name is Mike, and if you're new to this channel, make sure and hit that subscribe and bell button so that you can join this wonderful Brink of Speed community. I am super excited about this video because I get to talk to you about all three of the Z06s that I've had the pleasure of owning. So let's go ahead and just get started. I was fortunate enough to own a 2003 50th anniversary Red Corvette Z06. And I bought this car in June of 2005 with only 1,200 miles on it and paid $37,500, and the original sticker was $58,000. So it was pretty awesome. I got a 2-year-old Corvette Z06 and basically got $20,000 off what the original sticker was. This was simply put an amazing Corvette. It came with an LS6 5.7 liter V8 and had 405 horsepower and 405 torque. I immediately started taking this car to the racetrack. I took it to the drag strip the first week I owned it, and with this car being bone stock, I was able to get a 13.5 second run at 5,800 feet above sea level. I owned this car when I lived in Colorado, and I took it to Bandimere Speedway, and that's the best time that I was able to get, which I felt was pretty darn good being at that altitude with 400 horsepower. I didn't, however, find out how well this car handled until I got out on the autocross courses and also took it to, a road course. And man, I could not believe the grip that this car had. So not only did this car have amazing grip, but out on the streets, I was able to take down quite a few cars that had quite a bit more horsepower than my car and should have beat my car, but they certainly did not beat me. And this is just a testament to how light this car was. I think it only weighed like 3,180 pounds, so pretty amazing for 400 horsepower. Now, the only upgrade that I ended up having installed on this car was a B&B Bullet exhaust, which actually made this car sound like a freaking NASCAR. It was ridiculous. But anyway, it wasn't just a car that was built for the track. It also had a very smooth ride when you're driving around town or, even on the highway. It was balanced absolutely beautiful. And not only that, but the steering was very tight, and it gave you tons of feedback and just gave you all the confidence you needed to drive in any kind of dry conditions. Now, you didn't want to take this car out, in the wet or snow or anything like that, but as long as you had dry conditions, it gave you lots of confidence. This Z06 also had sleek, beautiful lines and was very exotic looking for, 2003. I still remember when I saw the front of this car and it had the mesh metal right below the headlights. And I just thought, man, it just looked exotic to me. And so the exterior was gorgeous. As far as the interior went, I didn't like the seats. For some reason, GM just decided to put cheap, very inexpensive leather seats in this car. And I don't know why, but they did. Especially, for a $58,000 Corvette. I don't understand it. But as far as everything else in the interior went, I loved it. I liked the radio. I liked the dash, the controls, the steering wheel, and even the seat controls were nice. The electronic seat was nice. And overall, this was a great first Corvette to own and was miles above anything I had ever driven performance-wise. Now, let's move on to my 2009 black Corvette Z06 with the 3LZ package. I bought this car in December of 2016, It had 32,000 miles on it, and I paid $40,000 for it. The original sticker on this car was $85,000. This car was far from stock and had even been lowered. I fell in love with it the moment I heard this thing start up. I also took this car to the drag strip shortly after I bought it. And let me tell you, because of all of the torque that this car had and horsepower, it had 576 horsepower to the rear wheels. And it had crappy Michelin Pilot Sport tires on it, so it had no grip. So really, it didn't start getting grip till second gear at the track. And even then, I had a lot of tire chatter most of the time. And so I ended up on my best run getting an 11.8, and that was the best I got. So I've been told, though, that this car, with all of the upgrades that it had and the power that it had, that if I had the correct setup with, a 15-inch wheel and a big old slick, or at least a big old drag radio on the back, that it does get into the tens and low to mid tens with that type of power. Just because this car is super light also. It was only 3,100 plus pounds itself. I was also able to race quite a few cars out on the road, and, basically there was only one car that gave this Z06 a run for its money. I actually destroyed a GTR, a modded Hellcat, and I raced 3 C7 Z06s and beat them all. But again, this car wasn't just built to head to the racetrack and, set fast times. It was also a very nice car to drive down the road, whether, you're on the highway, normal streets. Either way, it had a smooth ride to it. And it was just as tight feeling as the C5, maybe even a little more. But this car gave you a lot of confidence, again, just like the C5 did. It just basically boils down to it was a very well-made machine. And as far as looks go, really a lot didn't change between the C5 and the C6 on the exterior or the interior. They're both pretty similar. I did like the exterior better by a little bit on the C6, but the interior was exactly the same, except for the fact that they decided to put a very low-grade steering wheel in the C6. Unlike the C5, it actually had a pretty decent steering wheel. And then again, the seats in the C6 were horrible. But again, overall, this car was a pleasure to own and drive and had amazing performance. Now let's move on to my 2015 Laguna Blue Z06 3LZ with the Z07 package on it. I bought this car in June of this year and paid $73,000 for it. Its original sticker was $105,000. So as you can see, these cars depreciate, but it's very good to get them after they've depreciated. And this car only had 3,400 miles on it. So again, it was a very low mileage car and just beautifully taken care of. But this car isn't even in the same league as my first two Z06s. It's worlds better. From the phenomenal new exterior looks to the beautiful interior, which, by the way, I have no more complaints about those seats. I took this car to the track a few weeks after I bought it, and it was absolutely astonishing how it performed. It had a level of grip and handling I've never experienced before. Add to this that it has an electronically controlled magnetic suspension that gives you a plush, semi-stiff, or track-stiff ride with 650 horsepower and 650 foot-pounds of torque, and you have a recipe for one of the highest performing cars under 110,000 that will make you feel like you own a European exotic car. And I'm telling you right now, that's exactly what it feels like owning this car. When doing a side-by-side comparison of all three Z06s, I would say that if you want to own one of the highest performance cars built in the world, and yes, I said world, figure out what your budget is, then start searching for either a C5, C6, or C7 Z06, because all three of them will knock your socks off and you will love every joyful, exciting moment that these cars will bring you every time you look at them, and especially when you get behind the wheel and drive them. So, ladies and gentlemen, with all of that being said, these Corvette Z06s were built to give you exceptional performance for an exceptional price. I would highly, highly recommend that you go out and you purchase one of these three Z06s and never look back. And that's going to do it for me, folks. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it helps you in your decision-making process when thinking about buying an extremely high-performance sports car. And again, if you are new to this channel and you love this content, make sure and hit that thumbs up button. Make sure and hit the red subscribe button and the bell button next to it. And have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your weekend. And I will see you all out on the road.